Right now, the corporate world is throwing more money at its employees than at any point in history. Massive bonuses, stock options, and endless financial incentives. Yet we are seeing high levels of burnout, zero company loyalty, and a complete stagnation in innovation. If you tried running a heavy, modern application on a computer that still uses Windows 95, the system would immediately crash. That is exactly what we are doing to ourselves. We are trying to run highly complex, modern digital businesses using a psychological operating system built centuries ago. Behavioral scientist Daniel Pink calls this outdated software Motivation 2.0. You probably know it as the carrot and the stick. Do exactly what management says and you get a carrot, a bonus or a promotion. Disobey or miss your target and you get the stick, a demotion or a pay cut. During the industrial age, this logic held up beautifully. If your job is to pack boxes on a factory floor, a clear reward guarantees faster packing. But today, the economy has shifted from mechanical repetition to complex problem solving. When you take top-tier creative and cognitive talent and force them to operate under factory floor incentives, the result is a total psychological system crash. To understand why the crash happens, we have to separate work into two categories. First, there's routine algorithmic work, like data entry. Then there's heuristic work, tasks that require mental flexibility, like writing code, designing a product, or crafting a marketing strategy. This chart measures how well people perform based on the task at hand. The bottom axis tracks task complexity, and the vertical axis measures the effectiveness of a financial reward. For simple, low-complexity tasks, you see a steady increase. More money directly equals better performance. But watch what happens as the tasks become cognitive. Once a problem requires creative thinking, performance plummets. Psychologists call this the Sawyer effect. Offering an external reward for a complex task actively turns what used to be engaging play into a stressful, mandatory chore. Modern corporate reward systems fail to motivate top talent because they actively extinguish a person's internal passion for the work itself. And the damage doesn't stop there. When you dangle a massive bonus in front of a startup team, their perspective narrows onto that single prize. They stop looking for creative solutions and instead fixate on the absolute shortest path to the payout. That intense focus creates a breeding ground for unethical behavior. When hitting a strict quarterly target is the only thing that matters to leadership, employees will eventually fudge the data, alter reports, and create toxic sales cultures just to secure the reward. Worse, these incentives act like a chemical drug. If you pay an employee an extra $1,000 to hit a goal this year, that baseline is strictly set. Next year, it will take $2,000 just to get them out of bed. All of this cultivates extreme short-term thinking. Teams will happily sacrifice a company's 10-year vision if it guarantees they hit next Friday's quota. Daniel Pink calls these exhausted workers Type X personalities. Relying on extrinsic inputs like money fuels burnout. Compare that to a Type 1 personality, drawing on growth and purpose to sustain performance over the long term. For any digital business to survive long term, management has to stop relying on Type X dependencies and start building an environment that nurtures Type I intrinsic drives. That transition requires a complete software update, replacing the carrot and the stick with a system called Motivation 3.0. It is an architecture built entirely on 3 pillars of internal human desire. The first pillar is autonomy. No one does their best work with a manager hovering over their shoulder. True motivation requires the complete eradication of traditional micromanagement. People need control over the 4 T's: their task, their time, their technique, and their team. Companies like Atlassian prove this with FedEx Days, giving engineers 24 hours to work on any problem they want with whoever they want, as long as they deliver a result the next day. The freedom alone sparks their most profitable innovations. The second pillar is mastery. This is the innate human urge to get progressively better at something that matters. It requires a deep-seated growth mindset, treating every failure as data rather than a dead end. Mastery requires a willingness to endure pain. It takes grit, discipline, and the repetitive effort needed to turn a difficult skill into a second nature. In mathematics, an asymptote is a curve that constantly approaches a straight line, but never actually touches it. Mastery is an asymptote. You can never achieve absolute perfection, but that impossible pursuit keeps top performers moving forward. Giving your talent the absolute freedom to direct their own work and the space to pursue excellence creates an engine for performance that fear and greed could never match. But autonomy and mastery mean very little if the work itself feels useless. The final pillar of the new system is purpose, the knowledge that your daily effort actually adds value to the world. You can diagnose whether a team feels this purpose by applying the pronoun test. When employees talk about the company, do they use the word they? That indicates a fractured, disconnected workforce. Or do they say we? That proves they share a unified mission. In practice, this means treating profit as a result rather than the primary objective. By prioritizing real-world impact and innovation, companies build the deep talent pools and customer trust that eventually stabilize and grow the bottom line. As an individual, you can start rewriting your own mental code right now. Block out your own personal FedEx days each month to tackle creative challenges without any pressure, and track your daily progress toward a goal bigger than your paycheck. Human beings aren't donkeys driven forward by a dangling carrot, and we are certainly not mechanical tools waiting for a button to be pressed. We are curious, driven, and desperate to solve interesting problems. It's time to uninstall Motivation 2.0, reboot the corporate system, and let human potential finally run on its native code.